Hi, this is Dr. Joe with Mountain Journey. We've been using the buffer a lot, especially in the Stanley No. 5 hand plane restoration. Buffing is great. It's a polishing activity. It does take away metal. It gives a very smooth, glistening surface. But metal builds up on the buffing wheel, and then it becomes a challenge. Now, we have a rake. This is a buffing rake made by Eastwood, very well-known company, but this is way too aggressive for this type of closed buffing wheel. It's okay for this, more of a loose linen buffing wheel of many layers, but not for this. What works well for these buffing wheels to restore them so they can buff great again is sandpaper. So I've used the buffing wheel now, and I've noticed that there's a black residue that's building up along the outside of where I'm buffing. It becomes problematic. That's the metal that's come off during the buffing process. So let's see if we can clean this buffing wheel with sandpaper. Okay, we're going to start the buffing wheel going, and I've got some 150 grit. Not very aggressive, but it should be okay. Let's see what happens. And again, wear safety glasses, please. It's very dangerous. And always buff in the direction of the wheel. And look what's coming off. This is some of that green wax and some of the metal already. And you can see the buffing wheel is becoming a lighter and lighter color as more of this material comes off. But it seems to be working. This gets very hot. This is a low power buffing wheel. It's only 1/4 horse. That's why it's sanding. Now we could do this with a much coarser grit and move ahead much more quickly, but this is what I had available. And it takes a little more time, but I still think the process is very worthwhile to restore the buffing wheel to a really nice condition. So you can see this buffing wheel has been really restored to a much nicer condition, and we'll charge it again. And I like to use this green charging compound from Veritas. It's very nice, and we'll be ready to buff for quite a while. If we do the other wheel again, if we want to open it up, the best tool for that is this buffing wheel rake. And when you're using it, be cautious. These teeth are very aggressive. Be sure you're just barely, again, working in the direction of the wheel, doing it on this area where the wheel is moving into the rake. But we don't need to clean this up yet because it's not really very dirty. But we'll do that in the future. So when you've used a buffing wheel a long time and it gets clogged up and black is coming onto the parts that you're trying to polish or buff, use this simple trick. Sandpaper works very well. So now that I've got the wheel cleaned, I've charged it back up with this green buffing compound. It's really nice. And we are ready to start buffing.